You're probably scrolling through a sea of glass tanks, trying to figure out which one will actually sit on your desk without leaking, keep the flavor consistent, and not force you into a constant cycle of rebuilding coils. It's that moment when you wonder if you should splurge on a high-end model that promises glass fire and cone fire modes, or settle for a cheaper piece that might just break after a week. The fear of ending up with a pricey piece of glass that ends up as a decorative paperweight is real, especially when you've already spent a few $100 on the rest of your setup. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. The Skutt GLAZETECH Plus Shelf Kit in that eye-catching red finish tries to bridge that gap. It's marketed as a shelf system that lets you drop a coil into a glass housing, then fire it with a single button press. The idea is simple: you get the visual appeal of a clear glass tank, the convenience of a pre-built coil platform, and a few firing modes that claim to give you more control over vapor production. But does the concept actually translate into everyday vaping, or is it another gimmick that looks great on a photo but falls short when you're trying to vape a morning coffee blend? First, let's think about the kind of vapor who would benefit from this. If you're someone who enjoys doing a little bit of DIY but doesn't want to spend an hour every night rebuilding coils, the shelf system is a genuine time saver. You load the coil into the shelf, snap the glass tank on, and you're ready to go. The glass fire mode is essentially a direct-to-glass heating path that many users report gives a cleaner taste because the coil's heat isn't diffused through a metal chimney. For a flavor-centric vapor who cares about that pure, unadulterated profile, the option to switch to glass fire is a practical advantage you can actually taste. On the other hand, if you're the type who loves tweaking resistance, playing with airflow, or swapping coils multiple times a day, you might find the shelf a little restrictive. The system is built around a single coil size that fits the shelf. You can't just drop in any coil you like. That means you're locked into the coil options that Skutt supplies, which can be fine if those happen to match your style, but it does limit experimentation. For a cloud chaser who constantly changes coils to chase bigger vapor production, the cone fire and PMC modes might feel like nice toys rather than essential tools. Now, let's talk about the practical strengths that show up once you have the device in your hand. The first thing most users notice is the way the glass feels. Skutt uses a fairly thick borosilicate construction, so the tank feels solid and doesn't echo like cheap acrylic when you tap it. The shelf itself is machined from stainless steel, and the fit between the shelf and the glass is snug enough to prevent wobble but loose enough that you can remove it without breaking the glass. In real-world use, that translates to a device that you can set on a nightstand, move around a bit, and not worry about the coil shifting out of place. The red finish isn't just cosmetic. It actually provides a subtle heat-dissipating tint that some vapors claim keeps the glass a tad cooler during longer sessions. The PMC mode, which stands for Precision Metal Coil, is essentially a middle ground between the pure glass fire and the more traditional metal conduit. It offers a slightly hotter hit without sacrificing too much flavor purity. For someone who likes a balanced experience strong enough to satisfy a nicotine craving but still wants the nuance of a coffee or dessert flavor, this mode can be a practical solution. It's also worth noting that the device runs on 240-volt mains power, meaning you don't have to worry about battery life during a marathon vaping session. You just plug it in, and the power supply maintains a steady output, which eliminates the dreaded voltage drop you sometimes get with battery-powered mods. But there are trade-offs you need to weigh. Because the unit is mains powered, portability takes a hit. If you travel often or like to vape outdoors, you'll have to bring a power brick and an outlet, which defeats the anywhere appeal of many other tanks. The glass, while sturdy, is still glass. If you're the type who tends to knock things over, you could end up with a cracked shelf or a shattered tank, and replacement costs can add up. Also, the device doesn't have an adjustable airflow system. You're stuck with the preset airflow that comes with the shelf. For vapors who like to dial in their draw tightness, that can feel limiting. Let's look at a day-in-the-life scenario to see how these strengths and weaknesses play out. Imagine you're at home on a lazy Saturday, making a fresh pot of cold brew and want a smooth, low-temperature vape to complement it. You pull out the GLAZETECH Plus, set it to glass fire, and take a few.